Thank you very much, Martin and David. So, shocks, surprises, cars slipping off all over the place, and the two most experienced men in Formula One having a qualifying session to forget in the shape of Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. It was all about that man, Sebastian Vettel, at the final race of last year, and it's all about him so far. Welcome to the first race weekend of 2011, and Sebastian Vettel throws down the gauntlet. That wasn't just a pole position, Eddie. That was dominating a qualifying session.
Well, no big surprise. Yes, we thought that he would dominate, but what I actually loved about him, he actually scrubbed in a set of soft tyres for tomorrow's race. So in other words, he put a full heat cycle through the tyre. In other words, it should last that little bit longer. Any type of blistering that you would normally get on a brand new tyre, he's taken that out of the equation. He's thinking with his head. He's thinking like a world champion. He's thinking like a guy much older than his years.
OK, so Christian Horner's world champion driver is on pole position. Christian will be a pretty happy man, I think. Let's hear from him quickly.
Well done, Christian. I thought I'd see a bit of a bigger smile on your face, though.
Yeah, just disappointed to lose the second place with Mark. You know, letting obviously Lewis getting onto the front row, but great performance by Seb. Great start to the season. A phenomenal lap. Difficult to understand where the time between the two of them is, particularly in the last sector. Nonetheless, a fantastic start to the new season.
So was there anything on the telemetry, or any reason why Mark was so far off?
I don't know. There's nothing obvious. It's a corner. He's been it's particularly the last sector that there's been a difference between the two of them, particularly today. So you obviously need to have a good look at the data to understand why. But it was a phenomenal couple of laps that Sebastian's produced there.
Talking of understanding, and Sebastian, did you understand what he was saying on the radio? What did he say? We are who we are.
Yeah, I didn't understand much of that, but I'm sure it meant something to Sebastian. So, when you come down here, sometimes things get a bit confused. No, I think we're in good shape. It's a great start, to start the new season from pole. The tyres have been extremely well behaved, and it's great for I think Pirelli, all the guys there can be very happy with how their first qualifying session's gone.
Well done.
Well, I'm glad that Christian was as confused by what Sebastian said on the radio as the rest of us. That session tells us a lot about Sebastian Vettel. What does it tell us about Mark Webber? Traditionally, he's struggled here in the past, and to be 8/10 or more off his teammate. Explain that away.
Well, initially I thought that was probably just a time, but then he went and tried to do it again, particularly with Hamilton. Hamilton was a surprise packet. No one really gave McLaren a proper crack at this race, particularly the weekend. So to be on the front row of the grid is a huge bonus to them. Coming back to Mark, he will be disappointed because that is a huge gap. Equal cars, equal engines, the same strategy if he wants it, so he knows exactly what's happening. And psychologically, that will be a big blow, in my opinion, against Mark. OK, well, Ted Kravitz is a busy boy hoovering the reaction up and down the pit lane, and he's now speaking to Martin Whitmarsh.
Well, Martin, a good second place from Lewis, but tell us about what problems he had on that lap.
He had a KERS failure, so the KERS system failed. So that would have, apart from obviously not having KERS hybrid boost, he would also have lost brake balance. So that was a little bit of a disadvantage. I've got to say, Sebastian looks very quick, so it would have been very difficult to beat Sebastian, but definitely would have been closer without that problem. But nonetheless, it's from where we have been, it's not too displeasing to be second place and Jensen in fourth. Jensen a little bit disappointed with that. Obviously felt that he should be able to get up into third place, but he won from fourth last year. We've got two great race drivers, and we've got to look after the tyres, make no mistakes, and see if we can win a race tomorrow.
That is especially impressive from Lewis, considering that KERS is worth 0.3 of a second per lap. Really, it begs the question, were there any problems Jensen had, maybe temperature in tyres, to explain why he was so far off Lewis?
Yeah, I think, Jensen's been as quick as Lewis saw this weekend. I think he wasn't quite comfortable with the balance of the car in that session. So he, by his standards, that was a disappointing performance, but because Jensen wants to be up there, he felt he could have been and should have been quicker than that. But nonetheless, he's on the second row. He can win a race from there. Lewis can win a race. We've got to push Sebastian hard tomorrow.
Thanks, Martin.
Well, if you've just woken up, you've missed a pretty incredible qualifying session. It was very exciting. Sebastian Vettel's on pole position, Lewis Hamilton just behind him. And Lewis was less than a tenth in front of Mark Webber, not having KERS, which is worth about 0.3 of a second. Could have been incredibly costly, actually.
Well, it could have been costly, but then the other question you have to ask yourself, are these so many different things that you're doing in the cockpit, confusing the driver and really making sure that if they drive it to the maximum, they can get more out of it than the KERS? I don't know the answer to that. I think as the season rolls on and they get used to the KERS, then of course it would be a huge disadvantage, but it certainly wasn't to Lewis today, or apparently not to his disadvantage.
Yeah, sure. To out-qualify his teammates who did have KERS, we believe, is a bit of a blow for Jenson Button. We'll hear from him very shortly, but first let's hear from the 3 fastest men in qualifying today in the press conference ahead of tomorrow's Grand Prix.
Sebastian, a totally dominant performance, half a second faster than last year's pole position, and you didn't even use the KERS button. You must feel on top of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it was a bit of a funny winter because, you know, a lot of things changed. The cars changed a lot, and you know, obviously winter testing has been busy, and we all tried to, you know, work our way around the tires, the new Pirelli tires. But I think coming here, we were all surprised how well they were working on one lap, and also I think what we have seen on Friday with a bit more fuel in the car was, yeah, quite promising for Sunday. So we'll see how we get on. Surely we have done the first step, and I think you know, starting the season that way obviously is like you want to, and you know, it's just a good sign for all of us in the team. We've been working very, very hard to get that car, that new car, the RB7, where it is now. So I think it's mostly down to the people back in the factory, plus the people down here, down under now, preparing the car and making it ready. And I think, yeah, it was obviously a pleasure today, quite fast, and I'm very, very happy with the result. But surely, you know, if we look at the points, we have 0 points, just like everybody else. So we'll have to see tomorrow.
Well done. Lewis, 8/10 off Sebastian. It's a lot, but after the very poor winter testing you had, I bet you couldn't even dream you'd be sitting on the front row for the first Grand Prix.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely thrilled to be up here today. The guys back at the factory have done an unbelievable job. Really a massive step this weekend. The car's feeling fantastic, and of course we still have a lot of work to do, but I think we've really got ourselves on the right track, and a great foundation for us to build upon. So I know the guys back at the factory will keep going, but big thank you to everyone at home. Keep pushing.
Well done. Mark, it was 7/100ths of a second between you and Sebastian here last year. It's a lot more than that this year. What went wrong?
Yeah, couldn't do the times today. I was disappointed, obviously, with my performance, and you know, Seb put in a very good lap. Obviously, disappointed to get bumped off the front row as well. So tried my best. A little bit mystified to the gap to Seb, to be honest. But you know, I'll have to go through it and have a look at you know, where I can improve and you know, go from there. So a bit frustrating, of course, but you know, credit to the team, but the guys have done an incredible job. Obviously, it's not the best day for me, but the bar is high, so I would like to have done better today. But we still have to reflect on the performance of the team today, and what they've done over the winter is a great effort.
Back to you, Sebastian. The race tomorrow, obviously looking after the tyres is going to be critical. It's a step into the unknown, really, for all of you on these new tyres. What are you looking for, and what are the key indicators going to be for tomorrow's race?
Well, I think you know, key is always to finish the race, see the checkered flag. So obviously last year, halfway through, yeah, we had to retire, but I'm quite confident. We had a very, very good preparation in the winter. We did hardly suffer any reliability issues. So yeah, you know, the car was reliable from the first minute, and obviously also not too slow. So things are looking good, but it's a hard race tomorrow, as you said, with the new tires. It's a bit racing into the unknown. We kind of can guess how the tires will behave, but you know, in the end we have to see how it is, and also racing all the others, having probably more than one stop. So that's for sure, and you know, will be quite entertaining for us as well. A lot of things that we need to keep an eye on and focus on. So looking forward, but I think today was, yeah, the base and couldn't have been any better.
3 fast guys, 2 of them wondering just how is that man on pole so fast. So Lewis Hamilton starts second, an incredible turnaround in fortunes for McLaren, who, as we know, was struggling after testing this year. So Vettel first, Hamilton sitting second at the moment. closely followed by another McLaren Red Bull pairing, Mark Webber at his home Grand Prix, alongside Jenson Button, who looked to be struggling with temperature in his tyres there. He starts 4th, moving to 5th on the grid. Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari out-qualifies his teammate Yosua Massa in just a couple of moments, and Vitaly Petrov, what a performance from him in the Renault. He starts in front of Nico Rosberg for Mercedes Grand Prix, and Felipe Massa will talk about how his weekend's been shaping up so far in just a couple of moments, because he's a man under pressure in 2011. Kamui Kobayashi never looks under pressure, does he? Well done to him, starting 9th in the Sauber. And Sebastian Buemi, question marks over his future, made it into the top 10 in the Toro Rosso. Michael Schumacher didn't make it through to the pole position shootout for Mercedes Grand Prix, alongside Jaime Alguersuari, who's in 12th place, just in front of Sergio Perez, a rookie there, alongside Paul di Resta. Well done, Paul. He starts 14th. He out-qualified his teammate Adrian Sutil, who starts 16th alongside Pastor Maldonado. So there's a whole set of rookies around there. Keep your eye on them at the start of the Grand Prix. Those two aren't rookies, are they? Plenty of Grand Prix between them, and a very disappointing display today for Rubens Barrichello alongside Nick Heidfeld. And they start in front of, well, you can't really call them the new teams anymore, can you? Jarno Trulli and Heikki Kovalainen, 19th and 20th respectively, just in front of Timo Glock and Jerome D'Ambrosio. And the big crosses signify that Hispania Racing did not make the 107% rule, which means, as things stand, they will not be taking part in the Grand Prix. Well, one man who will be from the commentary box is David Coulthard. He made his debut up there today. What was it like watching it from up there for a change?
Well, it's a lot smaller than you would imagine. It's quite an intimate experience, but I think Martin did fantastically well.
He did indeed, you both did. What grabbed your attention out there today?
Well, the tyres are the thing that's confusing me. I didn't pick up in winter testing that you could go so slowly on your out laps. We saw it with a few of the cars there. We were doing 1-2 laps before swinging into the lap time. So we'll need to try and send Ted to get a bit more inside information on what's going on there.
Okay, well, let's talk about Michael Schumacher. We'll hear from him in just a moment, because he starts in 11th place. I suppose the saving grace for him, Eddie, is that he gets the tyre of his choosing. Everyone in front of him on soft tyres. He can go hard and see how that affects his weekend. But again, he didn't look at ease in his car today.
That'll be no consolation, I'm afraid. Michael, you know what he's like. He so many times world champion and so many race wins. He will be so disappointed. Out-qualified again by his teammate Nico Rosberg. People thought that his change of fortune might happen this year. We've seen today, clearly, that hasn't happened.
Okay, let's hear from Michael now. He's talking to Lee Mackenzie.
So Michael, when we last spoke, you thought a podium might be possible, and maybe it still is, but tomorrow you start from 11th. Are you disappointed with that?
Indeed, yes. I mean, after winter testing, coming to the first race, we had expected certainly different performance. So naturally there is some disappointment. I mean, the times we done the testing, they were very clear and we had a good interpretation. We don't match this performance here, and we need to understand why we don't. And that's going to be the major job that we have in front of us.
You were on the softer tyres quite early on, I think. Maybe was it the first qualifying session? Were you having difficulty getting heat into the tyres? Was that one of the problems, or was that?
No, I don't know what the other guys would have done or not have done, but the soft tyre was working for more than one lap, so I used that the first qualifying and the second qualifying, and then went to a new set after. But we had a bit of issues with KERS working and non-working, so it was a bit of a inconsistent session. But anyway, I mean, I don't know exactly what was the problem with Nico, but over the weekend we are not where we're supposed to be.
And the rear wing, did that work okay?
Yep.
So on the whole, tomorrow is going to be quite an exciting race. What's the overtaking like? Because we've got all these new gimmicks on the car to assist this.
Yeah, that's true, but you need to be quicker to be able to overtake. I mean, if you're slow, all those gimmicks don't help you very much. We'll find out.
Well, we can see he's smiling. We couldn't quite hear what he was saying at the end there. Apologies for the sound problems. We'll make sure that they're fixed for tomorrow. So, Michael Schumacher didn't make it through to the pole position shootout. Jenson Button, who's alongside us, did. We've had the thoughts of David from up in the commentary box and Eddie down here in the paddock. Give us your thoughts from inside the cockpit. How was the cars today with these new tyres that we've all been talking about for the last few months?
It feels like a very different tyre to what we had in testing. For me, the whole weekend, the tyres felt quite durable. And it gives you very good grip. We haven't really seen any grading problems. So I don't know if this is type of circuit or what, but the tyre seems like it's working really well.
Can you maybe explain a little bit? We saw people going out quite quietly from the pits, actually. You know, I'm used to seeing you all hammering it out of the pits to try and keep heat in the tyres. Is that one of the things that's different with the Pirelli, that you don't have to worry about getting temperature in it?
There might be different reasons for different teams, I don't know. But
well, that's very nice. Ron Dennis bringing in some humble pie for Eddie Jordan.
Is this a birthday?
if you're not going to have it, I will. They're lovely.
That's the first time I've ever received anything for free from Ron Dennis, and I tell you, this goes down in history and folklore.
Well, it's good the food's good in there.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you there, talking about the
your
tyres.
boss.
I'm completely lost now. I don't know what I was talking about.
Well, let's get it back on track and talk about qualifying. Lewis did very well, split the Red Bulls.
He did very well.
With no Kers at his disposal. You had Kers at the very end there on your whole lap? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. But all the way through qualifying, the car felt great, actually. And in end of Q2, the performance was very good. I almost had a very good lap, but they called me in because we didn't need to. And then in Q3, I had a little fight with Rosberg on the outlap, which became a little bit messy, and I had no tyre temperature when I started my lap. Got to turn one and had big understeer. But whatever, you know, I think we've got to be very happy with ourselves this weekend. From where we came in winter testing, you know, big thank you to all the guys back at the factory. I mean, they've done a tremendous job, not just to bring reliability, but to bring some great performance. Yeah.
Jensen, we'll come back to the thing about Kers, because we also heard at the race interview after the celebration up there, Vettel said he also didn't have Kers. So both cars on the front row, I find that absolutely amazing. And you?
Yes.
Sounds a bit daunting, doesn't it?
Especially Sebastian. What did he do? A 23.5 or something. Yeah. 8 tenths quicker than anyone. So yeah, it's let's just hope it doesn't work at the start, and then I'll be happy.
I bet. Let's talk about tomorrow then. How you attack the race in this situation. The top 10 all on soft tyres. Maybe Michael Schumacher will sit in 11th on some hard tyres and see if he can mix things up. What are you expecting from the Grand Prix?
I'm not sure they're going to be any four stoppers out there. There might possibly be. But it's going to be a really big mix, and I think a lot of people, well, all the teams are just going to be watching each other to see what they do. And I think you can also get caught out like that. I think you do have to think on your feet, but also you have to have a plan. So it's a little bit of a mix, and I really trust these guys. They've done a great job with strategy so far this year. And also the great thing is that the driver can have some input to when they think that it's time to pit with the tyres. Okay, thanks for joining us. Go and eat all the chocolate cake you like. Sure. Cheers, guys. All right, thanks very much, Jensen. A couple of interesting points at the very end there, actually. The teams and the drivers getting involved with strategy. We've heard that Ferrari have brought in the former commander of the Italian version of the Red Arrows to help them with strategy. They've poached the strategy man from Red Bull. Drivers are also very important in this situation. Jensen could make a big difference to the race tomorrow.
Yeah, well, indeed, and that's the question I would have asked him if we'd had a bit more time. But you know, I think that people like Jensen, who have a great deal of experience now, we saw he won this race last year by making the call to come in. You know, obviously we're hoping we have a dry race tomorrow, but clearly these tyres are a bit less predictable. And as it's first race of the season, no one really has anything to base it on. You've got a clean slate when it comes to strategy. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
I felt bad telling him that the two guys at the front weren't using Kers. He didn't like the sound of that, did he? What about Fernando Alonso? Well, Ferrari came into this pretty much thinking that they were on the coattails of Red Bull. As it turned out, their fastest guy was Fernando Alonso, who starts 5th.
Fernando, just tell us about your qualifying session. It looked pretty eventful, really from the start. You were on a soft tyre quite early, and it seemed that maybe your car wasn't responding as you'd hoped.
Yeah, we were not super competitive today from the practice, so the qualifying we took a very conservative approach. We knew that if we risk, maybe we are 4th. If we took very safe qualifying, we are 5th or 6th. So it was not time to do any risk in the first race of the championship. But unfortunately, yeah, we found ourselves with only one set in Q3. We tried to do our best, and as I said, I think 5th position is more or less what we expect before qualifying. And position, we are happy. Distance from pole, we are not so happy. So it's what we have to look at and to analyze tonight.
Where do you think your car was lacking, or what did it struggle with?
I think overall grip. Yesterday felt a little bit better, more overall grip, better balance. Today, straight away, either Felipe or me, we set less grip than yesterday. Track conditions a little bit worse, but the other people were better than yesterday. So we missed something today that we need to understand a little bit better. Also, the distance from Toro Rosso, Sauber, or Renault, we knew in winter testing, and yesterday was around 1 second in front of them. Today was only 2 or 3 tenths, so it was something lacking in our car that we will try to do a good race tomorrow, and in Sepang we need to be closer to the pole for sure.
I know it's the only first race, so we don't want to get too excited, but were you surprised about that gap to the Red Bull?
Well, obviously, you never know until you arrive to first qualifying of the season. It's only rumors, it's only a guess. Today it's true that it was very big, the gap, but yesterday it looked quite close, to be honest, to them and to McLaren. So I expect that this was not the normal pace from us, and we will get better and better, I think, tomorrow.
Well, Fernando, they're talking about Sepang. Perhaps he's already written off tomorrow's Grand Prix. 5th and 8th from Ferrari, not what we were expecting from them.
Big surprise, I think we all thought, coming here, that the big challenger to Red Bull was going to be Ferrari, and the big surprise packet for me is McLaren. They've turned this around very quickly, and they look in a very strong position.
Not a great start to the season for Felipe Massa. We've talked about the fact that it's all eyes on him. Can he support Fernando Alonso for a title charge? Didn't look like it today.
Well, there's something very strange about that qualifying session. There's some big gaps between teammates that we don't normally see. You know, generally Fernando had the pace on Felipe last year, but that's a much bigger gap. Likewise, what we saw with Lewis and Jensen, likewise what we've seen with Sebastian and Mark. So I think there's a few unanswered questions as we need to look a bit deeper at this.
Well done, Paul Di Resta. Out-qualified his teammate.
Well, to be very honest, Suttle made a very schoolboy error. I think he just opened the rear wing far too early.
I don't think it's a schoolboy error.
Well,
you know,
I think he didn't have the
technology.
car under control, did he, David? He opened the rear wing and he made a mistake. He was very fortunate to hold it together, because that could have been an absolute wreckage. And well done to Paul Di Resta for out-qualifying his teammate in his very first Grand Prix. It's absolutely fabulous performance.
Yeah, consider yourself told off, David.
Well, he called me
How
David.
dare you?
Yeah, no,
How dare you
that
question
means
him?
He's not happy.
Okay, just to let you know that you can see a rerun of today's qualifying this afternoon right here, courtesy of the BBC. Of course, all of it in glorious HD on the BBC One HD channel. We'll see you for that at 1 o'clock if you can join us. After that, it's the World Cycling Championships coming to you from the Netherlands. That's after the rerun of qualifying, and that's followed by a slightly slower but no less competitive bit of action live from Putney Bridge. It's the boat race here on BBC One. So we will see you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock in the morning for the race. The bad news is you have to put your clocks forwards tonight, which is an hour less in bed. The good news is you can see all of this.
I think they've widened the bollards, you don't think?
Oh, he kicked it off, he just kicked it off. Sebastian Vettel, you are the world champion! The world champion, well done, enjoy it! You are the man!
You know, for me, winning the World Championship still is, but always has been the greatest thing I can achieve in my life.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
And if you don't like Formula One racing, please just tune in to see Eddie Jordan driving an HGV. It really is worth watching.
It's
David,
a shocker.
It is a shocker. David, thank you very much. Eddie, well played to you as well. So there you go, the very first qualifying session of the season. Sebastian Vettel, he's feeling poetic, he's feeling fast, he's on pole position. What else would we expect?